Imagine this. You wake up, walk to the kopitiam, and order roti canai with teh tarik. The bill? Less than $2. In the afternoon, a haircut. $4, head massage included. Dinner? Half the price of what you'd pay back home. Now here's the twist. This isn't Bangkok or Hanoi. It's Johor Bahru, just 45 minutes from Woodlands checkpoint. And quietly, more Singaporeans are discovering something surprising. JB might be the smartest retirement plan they never considered. Because here's the truth. In Singapore, the cost of living keeps climbing. Every dollar feels tighter. But across the causeway, the same CPF can last almost twice as long. Life is slower, food is richer, and spending less doesn't mean living less. So in this video, we'll uncover why thousands are looking at JB as their retirement safety valve, and the clever strategies that let you enjoy Malaysia's affordability without giving up Singapore's security. Stay till the end, because for some, the future of retirement isn't in Toa Payoh or Tampines. It's just across the causeway. Why JB? Let's start with the obvious question. Why are so many Singaporeans even looking at Johor Bahru as a retirement option? Here's the simple answer. Cost of living. Take a haircut. In JB, it's about 15 ringgit, roughly 4 Singapore dollars. And yes, it comes with a head massage. The same service back in Singapore could easily set you back $20 or even $30. Multiply that difference across everyday life, and you'll see how powerful the savings are. Groceries? On average, 30 to 40% cheaper. A full basket of fresh vegetables, chicken, and fruits might cost you 100 ringgit in JB, compared to $50 in Singapore. Dining out? Easily half the price. A plate of nasi lemak or wonton mee can cost as little as 6 ringgit. That's less than $2. Petrol? About 40% cheaper. Even car ownership is drastically different. While Singaporeans pay tens of thousands in COE just to own a car, in Malaysia, you pay only for the car itself. Now let's zoom out. What does this actually mean for retirees? It means your savings and CPF aren't just surviving, they're working overtime. A monthly retirement budget of $1,300 in JB can give you what feels like a middle-class lifestyle. Eating out daily, occasional massages, shopping at malls, and still saving some money. The same amount in Singapore? It would barely cover rent, utilities, and groceries. But here's what most people miss. JB isn't just about money, it's about quality of life. In Singapore, daily life is efficient, but also rushed. Crowded trains, queues at hawker centers, the constant push to move faster, do more, spend more. In JB, things slow down. There's space, larger homes, quieter neighborhoods, easier access to nature. You can drive 20 minutes and be at the beach, or enjoy a leisurely breakfast at a cafe without feeling the clock ticking. And for many retirees, that slower pace is priceless. Because retirement isn't just about stretching dollars, it's about buying time. Time to relax, time to enjoy family, time to live without the constant pressure of expenses hanging over you. Put simply, JB isn't only cheaper, it's where your CPF can last almost twice as long while upgrading your lifestyle. That's why, for many Singaporeans, Johor Bahru isn't just across the causeway. It's a retirement strategy hiding in plain sight. Property options. What can you actually buy in JB? Here's where it gets interesting. Retiring in JB isn't just about cheaper food or petrol. It's about the roof over your head. And in this category, the difference between Singapore and Johor is massive. First, the good news. As a Singaporean, you can buy property in Malaysia without needing a visa or permanent residency. That's right, no MM2H visa required just to own a home. But there's a catch. In most of Johor, foreigners can only buy properties priced at 1 million ringgit and above. That's roughly $285,000 SGD. Now, at first glance, that might sound expensive, but wait till you see what that money actually gets you. For 1 million ringgit in JB, you're looking at spacious condominiums with full facilities, pools, gyms, 24-hour security, landscaped gardens, and sometimes even sea views. In Singapore, the same price wouldn't even get you a shoebox apartment in a prime district. And if you think 1 million ringgit is too high, here's a little-known secret. In special economic zones like Medini near Iskandar Puteri, that minimum foreigner price rule doesn't apply. That means you can buy modern studios or 2-bedroom units starting from around 450,000 ringgit, $130,000. For retirees, this is perfect. A lock-and-go apartment, secure and surrounded by amenities. Now comes the big decision. condo or landed property. On paper, a landed home sounds appealing. Space, privacy, maybe even a garden with mango trees. But here's the reality. Landed houses mean maintenance. Painting fences, mowing lawns, fixing leaks, and yes, sometimes chasing away monkeys. For retirees who want peace of mind, condominiums usually make more sense. They're secure, easier to maintain, and lock-and-leave friendly if you plan to spend part of your time back in Singapore or traveling abroad. Plus, many condos in JB feel like mini resorts, with cafes, convenience stores, and even co-working spaces inside the compound. And here's the strategic part. Even if you don't want to live in JB full-time, owning a property there can double as an investment or a weekend home. Think of it as having a backup plan, a second base just across the border. So while Singapore's property market often feels like a pressure cooker, JB opens the door to something different: space, affordability, and choice. For retirees, that's not just about money, it's about freedom. JB. This is the part everyone always asks. How much do I really need to retire in Johor Bahru? The answer may surprise you. A single retiree can live comfortably on about $1,300 SGD a month in JB. That figure covers housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, daily meals, and even extras like weekend steamboats, Korean BBQ dinners, or the occasional massage. For a couple, the number is around $2,400 SGD total. Not each, total. That's less than what some Singaporean families spend just on their mortgage payments every month. Now let's put that side by side with Singapore. According to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, the basic standard of living for a single elderly Singaporean is around $1,500 a month. But that's just basic. Add in eating out more often, medical costs, and lifestyle extras, and many retirees find themselves spending much more. In JB, that same $1,500 doesn't just cover basics, it buys you a middle-class lifestyle. Dining out daily, driving a car without COE, shopping at malls, weekend trips to Desaru Beach, and still having savings left at the end of the month. Here's where it gets even more interesting. If you own a fully paid HDB flat in Singapore and rent it out for $3,500 a month, that's roughly 11,500 ringgit in rental income. In JB, that's more than enough to cover your living costs while still leaving room for luxuries. In other words, your HDB in Singapore can single-handedly fund your retirement across the causeway. And this isn't about downgrading. In many ways, it's an upgrade. Think about it. Bigger homes, cheaper meals, easier car ownership, slower pace of life. You're not lowering your standard of living, you're stretching it further. Of course, not everything is cheaper. Imported goods, international schools, and high-end healthcare can cost more. But for daily living, groceries, food, utilities, petrol, transport, JB wins by a wide margin. That's why many Singaporeans who move across the border describe it the same way. It feels like cheating, but legally and joyfully. Because the truth is, JB allows retirees to flip the script. Instead of worrying about making their savings last, they get to focus on enjoying life. Is JB safe? Here's the elephant in the room. Every time you mention Johor Bahru, someone will ask the same thing. But is it safe? And honestly, this reputation didn't come from nowhere. In the 1990s and early 2000s, JB was known for higher crime rates. Snatch thefts, car break-ins, and petty robberies were common enough that Singaporeans started to see it as a danger zone. For years, this image stuck. But fast forward to today, and the reality is very different. Over the past decade, Malaysia, and Johor in particular, has invested heavily in urban development, policing, and surveillance. Shopping malls, residential condos, and public spaces are now well guarded with CCTVs and private security. According to the Royal Malaysian Police, overall crime in Johor has dropped significantly since the mid-2010s. Much of what still happens is petty crime, things like pickpocketing, not the dramatic stories people sometimes imagine. So what does this mean for retirees? It means that safety in JB is largely about common sense, not constant fear. The same way you wouldn't flash a Rolex while walking through Geylang at 2 a.m., you shouldn't in JB either. Don't leave valuables visible in your car, stay alert in crowded markets, and use Grab or Drive instead of wandering unfamiliar back alleys at night. Here's a smart tip. If you're curious but nervous, test JB like a tourist first. Book a weekend Airbnb or hotel. Spend 2 or 3 days exploring. Visit the malls, try the hawker stalls, walk the neighborhoods. Most Singaporeans who do this are surprised at how normal and even pleasant JB feels. Lifestyle, a day in the life of a retiree in JB. So what does daily life in JB really look like for a Singaporean retiree? Let's paint the picture. It's morning. Instead of rushing to catch an MRT or queue for kopi in a crowded hawker center, you stroll downstairs to the cafe in your condo. A plate of roti canai and a hot teh tarik costs you less than $2. The staff know you by name. The pace is slower. Nobody's rushing you to finish and move on. Later, you head out to do groceries. At the local hypermarket, a full trolley of vegetables, fruits, and meats might set you back 100 ringgit, around $30 SGD. In Singapore, that same basket could easily cost you double. And if you don't feel like driving, Grab is everywhere. For 5 ringgit, you can get across town. No need to worry about parking, ERP gantries, or COE. Want to own a car? In Malaysia, that's an option too. Cars are significantly cheaper, no COE, no insane premiums. The only catch, if you're a Singaporean citizen or PR, you can't drive your Malaysian registered car back into Singapore. But within JB, owning a car gives you freedom to explore. Beaches, golf courses, and even shopping trips to Kuala Lumpur are all within reach. Now, what about language? The good news is you don't need to panic. English is widely understood in JB. Malay is the main language, but most shopkeepers, cafe staff, and even taxi drivers can get by in English. And here's the secret. Pick up just a little Malay. Simple greetings or food orders, and locals light up. It's a small effort that makes you feel more at home. Entertainment? JB's malls are some of the largest in Malaysia. Paradigm Mall, Mid-Valley South Quay, City Square, these are massive lifestyle hubs with cinemas, gyms, cafes, and restaurants. And because costs are lower, retirees don't have to feel guilty about catching a weekday movie, enjoying a spa session, or trying out a new restaurant. So, should you retire in Johor Bahru? If you value good food, a slower pace of life, and want your savings to stretch further without giving up comfort, then yes, JB deserves serious consideration. But here's the important part. You don't have to decide overnight. Start small. Try a weekend, then a week. Explore different neighborhoods. See how the lifestyle feels. That's how most retirees begin. Some ease into part-time living, splitting days between Singapore and JB. Others eventually make the full leap. The point is, they tested it. If this video sparked new ideas, give it a like, share it with someone who's also thinking about retirement, and subscribe to Wealth for You, where we break down smart financial choices for real life. Because sometimes freedom, comfort, and affordability aren't in another country far away. Sometimes they're just across the causeway.